Every April, the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival transforms a quiet stretch of the California desert into a temporary city. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people pouring in over 2 weekends to catch the biggest names in music. To manage that massive demand, the festival's promoters built a digital queue. For over a decade, fans have stared at the same loading screen, watching a graphic of a tiny blue man slowly walking across a progress bar. It could take an hour, but it was a predictable, reliable waiting room. But on Friday, May 1st, when the pre-sale for the 2027 festival opened at 11 a.m., the little blue man never showed up. Instead of entering the queue, fans hit a wall of server errors. Buyers reported getting stuck in infinite loops, getting kicked out of the portal entirely, and receiving pop-up messages saying, "Oh no," with a prompt demanding they refresh and start over. One buyer on Reddit pointed out that in 13 years of purchasing Coachella tickets, they had never experienced an issue like this. They frantically tried multiple devices, were kicked off repeatedly, and never even saw an option for Tier 1 pricing. This was a total collapse of a ticketing infrastructure that had successfully handled immense traffic for years. The system completely locked the majority of the fanbase out. When fans hit those error screens, they immediately tried to bypass them by rapidly switching devices and spamming the refresh button. That flood of panicked activity created a massive server gridlock. As the hours ticked by, the festival's promoter, Golden Voice, and the ticketing platform AXS stayed completely silent. Users were stuck with no updates and no access to passes. Hidden within that massive server jam, a tiny fraction of buyers actually made it through the errors. Around 1:30 p.m., a few successful purchasers, including staff at SFGE, managed to reach the checkout page. When they got there, they found something highly unusual. The pre-sale tickets for Weekend 2 had completely sold out, while Weekend 1 tickets were still available. In the established economics of this festival, that is entirely backwards. Historically, the opening weekend is the primary draw, selling out long before the second weekend even comes close. This chart tracks the historical demand ratio between the 2 weekends. For years, you see a clear pattern. Weekend 1 towers over Weekend 2. But looking at the 2027 data, something inverted. The demand for the second weekend spiked so hard it exhausted the inventory first. Because of that spike, buyers who originally targeted the second weekend found themselves locked out of their first choice. To secure any pass at all, that overflow demand spilled right back into the remaining capacity for Weekend 1. A standard high-volume rush wouldn't cause this kind of collapse. The system buckled because the crowd's purchasing behavior reversed direction, throwing off the predictable traffic patterns the architecture was designed to handle. To see why that demand reversed, we have to look back at what happened on the ground during the previous festival. The shift started on a very specific date, the first night of Weekend 2 in 2026. During Sabrina Carpenter's set, the crowd was hit with a completely unannounced surprise appearance by Madonna. That high-profile collaboration instantly dominated social media. The organic buzz generated by that single surprise performance easily overshadowed the heavily promoted scheduled events from the week before. For years, fans assumed that if you wanted to see the best pop culture moments, you had to be there for the opening dates. That one collaboration shattered that assumption. This dynamic is now driving ticket sales, creating what we can call the Weekend 2 effect. Unpredictable guest sets are proving to be more valuable to attendees than the printed lineup. As a result, the fear of missing out has migrated. Fans are no longer prioritizing the prestige of being the first to see the festival. They want to be there when the unexpected collaborations happen later on, which brings us back to the 2027 presale crash. The digital infrastructure failed because it was hit with a massive, concentrated migration of cultural demand aimed straight at the second weekend. The internal hierarchy of Coachella has inverted. With the second weekend now taking the lead in popularity, fans are being forced to rethink exactly how and when they buy their way into the desert.